Once more, good evening, all. You're welcome. Once again, welcome to today's class of compensation and benefits, being a HR course taken by yours and only OgaHR. This training is sponsored by the Society of Human Resource Professionals and Administrators of Nigeria, and also sponsored by Como Consult. Today we'll be looking at compensation and benefits, which is one of the integral this we all know that compensation and benefits is one of the most integral aspects of our job. Well, not any other aspect of HR can actually be neglected, but according to the Maslow hierarchy of needs, one of the major reasons why people work is somehow tied to compensation and benefits, from monetary benefits to non-monetary benefits. Of course, many people want monetary benefits, but there is also the non-monetary benefits, like we all know. So therefore, we'll be examining and interrogating various compensation and benefits, how we can use them to promote organizational growth as HR professionals, and how we can use it to maybe as retention strategy, maybe as any kind of strategy we decide to use it as. Okay, so having said that, I want to know in the class, I would love to know when you hear compensation and benefits in this context, what comes to your mind? You can drop the word for me in the chat room. What comes to your mind? What comes to compensation and benefits? I'm going to be checking now in the chat room to know what comes to our mind. Okay. All right. And as we always that case, see. So let's start. I will give us some minutes to, if you want to unmute your mic, feel free to unmute your mic and say something while I listen. Thank you. I was expecting to hear people unmute their mic, but I think we rather want to stay in the chat room, which is also fine. It doesn't involve communication. The reward, okay, that's beautiful. Reward, that's very beautiful. Okay. Okay, without wasting of our time, let's go to, let's proceed to, let me share my screen so we can begin proper. All right. I believe you can now see my screen. So according to us, we said that compensation and benefits has to do with, uh, it has to do with reward management, right? I agree with you. I agree with you. Let me, all right, just a minute, please. Just a minute. In compensation, our compensation and benefits, there are two windows, and the window is clear to us: the compensation window and the benefit window. So, what is really compensation? What is benefit? Compensation is that thing that is compulsory you pay the employee, that thing that the employee is entitled to, that thing that the employee deserves. Those are compensation. They are the rights and non-negotiables of an employee. They are the right and non-negotiable employee. It means that whatever you are doing, you must not compromise that aspect. By the time you compromise that aspect, you are breaking the law. For instance, an employee works for the end of the month and you refuse to pay him or her, you are breaking the law. An employee works extra hours and you refuse to pay him or her, you are breaking the law. Why benefits are those things that sometimes are not monetary, sometimes they can be in kind, sometimes they are not tangible, but at other times they can also be tangible, like money. They also constitute employee reward. So they are benefits. It's not necessarily the right of an employee, but constitute things that we should use in ensuring that we reward our staff, that we tell our staff, thank you for the work well done. When you add both of them together, you get what is called total reward. And what is total reward? Total reward is the intermarrying between the within compensation and between benefits. That is total reward. Total reward is the intermarry between compensation and between benefits. Do do compensation and benefits really drive business functions? Does it really ensure that performance is driven? To a very large extent, yes. They constitute what we may call external drivers, external factors, external motivators to employees. They are external factors that motivate employees to do more, to do better. Of course, there are intrinsic factors. They are extrinsic factors. So intrinsic factor is that I want to work because I want to be a better person. I want to work because I want to give my best because I want my name to be written in part of excellence. Can you see? Those are intrinsic factors. But extrinsic factors now I'm working because I want money. I want to be paid. I want them to recognize me. I want to be promoted. All these are extrinsic factors. And but then if these are driven, if these are driven, if these are well utilized, does it drive business? Does it have a role to play in key HR functions? Yes, again, it does. And how does it do that? In terms of recruitment, when you have a good paying structure, you are likely to have people that will come and work with your organization. This is a no-brainer. This is not it's non contestable. It's non contestable. When an organization that pays well, most times have who people who um fight to even work for them. I'll give you an example. Let's take the public sector for instance. You will agree with me that most people want to work in CBN, FIRS. People should mention those organizations. NNDPRA. Many people want to work in those organizations. Why? It's simple because those organizations give some kind of benefits that some other organizations don't really give in terms of salary and compensation. Come to the private sector, though NNPC, we don't know whether it's now private or government because the way they operate, even though they still claim to be, they still have government, they still have some private, so they are both regulatory and so they are it's public-private partnership. But then NNPC, for instance, is one of the highest paying people as far as Nigeria economy is concerned. Come to the pure private sector, the oil and gas is one place that pays very well. The fintechs, and it's even inside the fintechs, there are still organizations that still pay more. For instance, just like working in Money Points versus any other of all these fintechs, right? Where compensation can be used as well to drive performance, because periodically we have performance appraisal. We set goals and see whether people have met those goals. By doing that and tying to compensation, you see that people have to meet their what they have been set out to do. The next is development. In Let me use in my organization. In my organization, every year you have 5% of your what would I call what they call that now? 5% of your annual gross salary. 5% of your annual gross salary as your training allowance, training benefits. You can use 5% of your salary to run training. 5%. So assuming your salary per annum is less than 120,000, 1.2 million, for instance, is 1.2 million. It means that 10% of 1.2 million is 120,000, 5% is 60,000. So maybe for someone like maybe lower cadre staff, they have a 60,000 naira to run a training. So you can imagine what it will be. So for us now, you can just very well. When people have benefits, yes, retention. There is this organization, Sterling Oil. People hardly resign from that organization. Do you know why? Because they pay awesomely well. You can go and check. They pay awesomely well. So I was speaking with somebody from the inside. I was saying that their attrition rate is so low. It's almost like minus zero. You see that? Fair compensation enhances commitment and employee engagement. So people naturally we want to do their job, want to feel happy, you know. Components of compensation. We have the base pay, variable pay, allowances, and non-monetary compensation. What are these? What does this mean in the Nigerian context? In the in the Nigerian context, somebody's in the Nigerian context, we have the gross salary and the net salary. Of course, we all understand this very clearly. With salary, tax. For those who are not in HR, I hope this is you are now getting to understand when we mention gross versus net, what that implies. Your gross salary is that it comes in bulk. In that gross salary, there are three basic components that you should know. Why? Because they affect every other component. Basic housing and transport, BHT. Aside from that, you have your allowances, wardrobe allowance, hazard allowance, other kind of different form of allowances as the company may decide to give. The off days, having leave, HMO, what maybe celebrate letters, maybe giving you letter, giving you a letter or something. So all these are form of composition of compensation. We also under compensation we also have overtime. We also have overtime, right? And we have leave allowance. There are statutory benefits. So that is why when I hear people say um, we are going to you are entitled to pension, you are entitled to, I laugh because like I don't know what I said in my last whether it's in this class or wherever, I don't know, I can't remember where I said it. You see pension, you overpay pension. When I mean overpay, they pay above what the government has prescribed. It's very allowed. For instance, on some organizations pay 20%. It means that the employees are not even paying anything. They are the one paying both the employees' own and their own contribution. So it's in you can argue that it is a benefit. But you must have you must have begin to um, do pension even before. Sorry, just a minute. Just a minute. All right, sorry about that. So you must have first registered even before the before you can even begin to administer benefits. So it's not something that you say, okay, I don't, if I want, I will not register, or I no for pension. So in that context, that is why this is my personal opinion that it's not among what people call benefit, but it's a statutory benefit that is a must. You have to comply. So that's why I use the word statutory benefit. Statutory means it's a must. Okay. They will have the NSITF for insurance, Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund. We have the National Housing, Health Insurance, Leave Entitlement to Nigerian Labor Law. We have there's the annual leave, the sick leave, the maternity leave, and the paternity leave today. Who can tell me how many days government has prescribed for? How many days? If I say maternity leave, many of us will get it. How many days government prescribe for paternity leave? Tell me in the comment section while I proceed. Then there's also voluntary and discretional benefits, whereby I say, okay, instead of me doing 8% of my annual of my for pension, I'm doing 10% or 12%. Oftentimes I hear people say, most HR say, increase salary, my organization don't increase salary, my organization don't increase. And I ask them, do you know how much your organization is making? Once that question comes in, 2 weeks, thank you. That's 14 days. Once that question comes in, everywhere goes mute. Everywhere goes mute. I begin to, it amuses me. Why? Because we want increment, but we don't know how much the company is making. So is that not very rhetorical? When we are talking about employee satisfaction and benefits or compensation, please, we must do the whole stage human pass through to grow. From incubation stage, idea stage when it's in the stomach, to birth stage when it begins to exist, to revenue stage when a child begins walking, to maturity stage when it's to make profit, and it gets to the peak and maybe to a point where it begins to decline again. Can you see? So anything you are doing concerning compensation and benefit, you have to ensure that it does not eat into the life of the organization. The organization can really afford it. Well, are the organizations that can afford it and they refuse to bring out the money? That's a conversation for another day. But we must be very detailed and be sure that our organization can afford what we are asking them to do. In government, it's very common for those in the public sector here, it's very common to clamor for equal pay. I hear that a lot. They are paying somebody in the Ministry of Finance 120,000 naira level 7. They are paying somebody in CBN 290,000 naira level 8. Maybe for instance in foreign affairs is 120. In CBN, that same level 8 is 290. That same level 8 in people complain about that a lot and begin to say, okay, why can't we get equal pay? But I tell people that you can't, government as a sector is not the same as government as an industry. Mhm. Government as a sector is not the same as just the way we have private sectors. Private sector cannot be paying equally. You have those in the fintech, you have those in the oil and gas, you have those, and you can oil and gas, it still varies. You have those in the upstream, you have those in the downstream. It varies. But how do we know that we are supposed to pay people this amount and that amount? Is through what is called job evaluation. To know what is the worth of the job, looking at the risks of the job, what is the qualification needed for the job, what is the skill needed for the job, what is the attitude needed for the job. You use job evaluation. There are basically four methods of job evaluation. Four. For those just joining, you can get the link from Shepan's YouTube page, YouTube link or page to get the place where you missed. Number one is the ranking method. Jobs are ranked from the highest to lowest based on overall value to the organization. Value, value. Somebody was asking me why they do pay a gate man 50,000. Then you pay an MD 1 million, give him a car and give him other things. It's because of the value, because of job evaluation. And I asked the person today, I said, if the gate man resigns, how long will it take to get another gate man? He said, maybe a week. I said, good. If the MD resign, how long will it take to get another MD? He said, depends. So it might take a month or two. I said, exactly. That shows you where the strength and the value of the job lies. Okay. We have the classification method, job group into classes or grade with defined description. What I think it's until recently that there's not a decision between HR and admin. But even even at that, there is still a blurring line sometimes for some people. But some of us know that the lines are distinct. But some of you, there are still blurring lines between them. So most of the time you see HR admin. Why do you see that? It's a function of job classification. They are doing similar. They're not the same job, but they are doing similar job. The risks in HR and admin is almost the same thing. You can compare the risks. Okay, even in the let's even take even HR and HR in this in a particular company versus those people that stay in the shore. The HR does not is not exposed to all those risks. HR is in the office most times anyway, apart from maybe the HRBP that might be on the field. But look, let's add risk allowance, let's add hazard allowance, let's add that allowance. Okay. Point factor method as where assign numerical values to job elements like skill. So in this aspect, we say, okay, if you have computer skill, it gives you 5 points. If you have social skill, it gives you 2 points. And a point is worth, let's say, 10,000. By the time they add all your points together, it will then tell how much you'll be paid. So this kind of one is really better because it helps people understand. With this, you understand the value each person is bringing to the table. For instance, if you have somebody who, if you have somebody who has, if you have somebody that has a BSc, has a master's, has professional certification, and all these carries point, you'll find that that person will be earning more than somebody who has who does not have. Maybe the other person have more years of experience, but they're not giving, the years of experience is lower than all these certificates, qualifications. That's why I see in some organizations, I know some organizations that prioritize all those kind of certifications. I see many of them, they keep going for certification every year because they need it for their promotion, they need it for growth, they need it for job placement, and various other reasons. Factor comparison method. This compares key job functions across the roles with monetary value assigned to each factor. This is the most complex, the most troublesome form of job evaluation. In society today, it is a common, will I say common knowledge or common belief rather, that doctors should be paid high. It's, but do a doctor sometimes does equivalent to, I don't want to, I should, maybe I shouldn't even say this, but
Hello, sir. So we can no longer hear you.
level 12,
If, hello, sir. Sir, we lost you at some
regardless of
point.
your age. So if you have a
Abi was
PhD
it
at
my
maybe
network?
35, you're entering the ministry, you are starting at level 12, and somebody is starting. Yeah, someone say something.
Yes, I was saying that. Good evening, sir. I was saying that we lost you at
Someone to say
some
something.
point. Yes, I was saying that
Okay.
we lost you at some
All right.
point.
Thank you. Let's proceed. Design a pay structure. We want to design a pay structure. It's a systematic thing. Remember, we are talking about job evaluation. And in job evaluation, you talk about system, methodology, and procedure. So when you want to design a pay structure, you have to do what is called job analysis. Job analysis contain of your job descriptions, the KPIs, and all of those things, deliverables we expect to see each role. Who is speaking? Please go ahead and speak. Hello, who is speaking? Please, if you want to speak, kindly raise up your hand so that we can hear you. Except it's a mistake, so we don't distort. Do we have, so in the government, we have, I think it starts at level four, grade 4. No, level, this level 4. I think that's the lowest level in the government, if I'm correct. Level 5, level 6, level 7, then level 8. That's why I have this from the senior staffs, 9, 10, 11, 12. They have level 14, deputy director, assistant director, I think. Then 15, deputy director, and 16. So you begin to, then aside that, you have steps. It is this, when you have done your proper, if you don't do your job analysis properly, you will never get your job evaluation properly. And if you don't get your job evaluation, you can't place people where they ought to be. And it is when you place people where they ought to be, you can now draw up your salary range, that the lowest in the salary will collect this amount and the highest will collect that amount. You begin to implement it. Now, I always advise when you want to implement salary, start it in piecemeal. Start it in piecemeal. What I mean by starting in piecemeal is don't just rush to implement. You can take maybe a level to start the implementation first. Start with a level first. I want to start with senior level. I want to start with junior level first. Start with them to implement. After you succeed in implementing them, then you can test run to see if it's successful. When successful, you can go to the next stage. Do we have contribution from the house or questions? Contribution, questions. Okay, let's proceed. Internal equity. What does this mean?
Sir, I raised my hand. Good evening, sir.
Okay, please go on. Who me?
Sir, please, okay,
Our
sir,
deputy governor.
sir,
That's
Queenette.
this deputy governor, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So go on. Please be audible because I can't hear you.
Sir, this job analysis and job description, I mean, job analysis and job evaluation.
I can't still hear you.
Eh, what about now? I'm,
Yes, I can hear you
I'm
now.
even sure. Okay, sir, please, I'm not very clear on this job analysis and job evaluation. They are similar, but I don't know the difference, please.
Yeah. Okay. Job analysis has to do with what is the job description, for instance, we need for this job. What is the job description? And what is the deliverable you need to achieve this job? Or what are the deliverables? In turn, job evaluation explore both the requirements, the knowledge, the skill, the person. Have you seen some jobs? The hazard. So some jobs will tell you that they need somebody that has who can lift weights. I've seen that kind of a job this before. Someone that is able to lift weights, someone who can carry 10 bags, or someone, okay, let's use the military. Let's use the military as a classic example. The military will, when you're applying for the military, you see they will say 1.5 height, 1.7 or whatever. They are not, it's not just what you can do, but the requirements to be there, both the behavioral requirements, both the expectation, both the risks, and both the value of that job, how much that job worth, both in input and in output, that's evaluation. But analysis is telling you, it's basically the advert we see. Basically, the advert we see, what that role is to do and what that role is to, the output of that role. Okay? So I think if we don't still understand, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. Well, I'll take it again when we are running up the class. Internal equity. I remember one of the job I was applying for, and they asked me how much am I expecting. I said there's no amount my account cannot take. Somehow I started that job, and I found out that I was among the least paid. Have you ever taken a job and you find that this job is more than this amount I'm being paid. I need more. So that's why I say is employee perceive fairness when similar jobs within most times people leave, people exit. People now enter what they call presentees. They just come to work and they are not there. They just come to work and they are not there. External competitiveness, yeah. People begin to look at it. There was a time someone was telling me, so company have increased their salary by 100%. I said, well, we're not in the same industry. That is commercial banks, and we were in manufacturing, so we can't compare. Then the guy said, but so company have also increased their salary. I said, hey, now you come. So that competitiveness is also a factor, and HRs must take that into cognizance. Total reward management. I think I have mentioned this earlier, where you have both your compensation and benefits. Core element of total reward. You have the compensation. We've said this, right? We have the benefits. We've said this. Retention and recognition. R&R. Smart organizations have used this as a way of retaining employees. They've used it as a way of attracting employees. That's why I love when organizations, all they know how to do is to give warning letter, is to sack people that come late. What have you that come early? What have you done for them? People that came early, what are you doing for them? How are you rewarding them? It's a function of compensation and benefits. So if you are very good to punish those that are not doing the right thing, salary is not enough for those who are doing the right way. Yeah. If you are to punish those who are not doing the right thing, who are doing the wrong thing, then salary is not enough for those who are doing the right thing. Engagement and career opportunities. People want to be in a place where they can also grow. If I join an organization, I want to see if they have salary scale. I want to look at salary scale and know where I am and where I will be in the next 5, 10 years. Productivity being at the peak. Yeah. The end goal of every organization is to make profits. But you must be able to marry it. You must be able to marry your performance expectation to your compensation expectation, to the compensation expectation of employees as well. So just the way you're expecting employees to perform very well, employees are also expecting you to pay them very well. And where do people meet? At productivity. If you pay like monkeys, you hire monkeys. So if you want to enjoy productivity, if you want to have an organization where your productivity is skyrocketing all the time, then you may need to also consider both financial and non-financial reward that will lead to high productivity. Explain this. Types of incentive. We have individual incentives, such as commission for sales, bonuses for meeting personal KPIs. I took a class on last week, Wednesday, and a lady said she made 50 million as a target. In fact, that's not even a target. Her boss's target was, is it 20? Her overall boss target was 20 million. The one following the other boss, no, it's not even 20. Yeah, the overall boss is 20 million. The one following the other boss is 10 million, while her own is 5 million or so. But she made 50 million. That's all their whole target. This lady made it. I don't know tell you what happened to her. What she was supposed to get, they didn't even give to her. But this I'm using to explain personal KPI. So those are commissions, those are bonuses. Then there is team incentive. When I was in the mines, there was something that I introduced, which I called, or which we called, because it was adopted by the company, but it's a reward and recognition policy. Inside it was safety reward system, and we're rewarding per, do we call it per square meter or per what now? So it means every 25 people working within the same work area are colleagues when it comes to safety. And if within our review period, maybe 3 months or 6 months, we didn't catch anybody that violates safety, if you're working in the field, you know that safety violation is almost a normal thing. But if within 3 or 6 months nobody violated it, everybody within that place is rewarded. If somebody is even coming to work, it's as bad as someone is coming to work and drank alcohol, and they tested person at the gate and the person tested positive. We are going to trace it down to which team that person belongs to, and it will affect the entire team. Can you see how what that meant? Everybody became responsible for every other person. So there's also departmental incentive. If a department meets their targets, I could remember several times that they took the department out because there was no salary complaint. We paid on time. We did everything within our power to do what we have to do in the right way and on time. Organizational incentive, profit sharing, then performance based. Everybody, okay, at the end of the year, you're getting 10% performance. So which of these do you do in your organization? Let me see it in the chat room. Which of them have you benefited from, or do you do in your organization? Let me see in the chat room. Which of them have you benefited from? Which of them do you do in your organization? I am patiently waiting. Not in any message in the chat room yet. Okay, while I wait for you, I may need to proceed. So at least 8:30 we are done and we can go and rest for tomorrow's class. I know Saturday many of us have done so many domestic chores. Short-term and long-term incentives. Deputy governor and governor, I expect people to be in the class earlier tomorrow so that people can start the moderation of the class before I begin. That's part of what people should be doing.
Okay, sir.
All right. Incentives such as bonuses that could be quarterly, could be weekly, could be could even be yearly. But to some extent, are they even, can we say that something that is yearly is actually short term? Can we say that for sure? But then why we can argue that it's short term is because it has a duration. So we have the sport award, like an organization will give sport award every 3 months. Sport awards every 3 months. You can sometimes even every month. Those are very short term. Then gives vouchers. I know in a place like Pomisidor, in a place like Pomisidov, they give vouchers that you can go and eat in not any restaurant, in particular restaurant that they have partnership with. You can go there and eat the way you want. Those are part of an award or reward system incentive. There's another organization I won't mention because I benefited from it. Even though I don't work there. A staff of mine of theirs was always giving me their voucher to use it to go and eat, to go and because he was not using it, so I was using it on his behalf. So you see, then long term, whereby you can buy shares from the organization. Can you tell me at what point you couldn't hear me? At what point you couldn't hear me? Who can tell at what point that couldn't be heard?
Where I don't know about others. You said you were talking about incentive that some that your friend's organization give them voucher that he doesn't use, but he gives you and you use on his
Okay,
behalf.
beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, thank you. So, so those are some of the, but then we have the long term, whereby we have people get opportunity to invest in the business, to buy stock in the business, to be shareholders now, not just to be employees, to be shareholders of the business, not just stakeholders, but shareholders to be owners of the business. Can you see that? And I was saying that, do you know some organizations have grown to that aspect? Can you give me a classic example of organizations that are like that? Organizations that does that, the kind of organizations that does that, that have gotten to that level of of or that you know that or someone that you know, an organization that you know. Somebody have an idea? An example I know of is Zenith Bank. Adora, Dr. Adora, that is the current MD of the bank, became the highest shareholder of the bank. I see most people that have been in the bank, it's not also that just they just feel like being no, because they strategically positioned themselves. So she climbed for close to 25 years to be where she is now. Why? Because the organization offered the opportunity of buying shares, then profit sharing plans. Most organization does that. If I stay in the organization for the next 3 years, this is what I'm going to get when it comes to profit sharing. Some hotels does what they call service charge. They have retention bonus for staying with the organization for several years. The Dangotes give long-term award, service of long-term service award, something like that. And some other organization does that. So the longer you stay, I keep giving this example. If you some organization that when you stay extra year, you have the opportunity to you have extra a day or 2 days added to your annual leave. So if you have stayed, let's say you entered the organization and the least days of their leave is 15 days, yes, and you've worked in the organization for 5 years. After 5 years, your annual leave have changed to 20 days. Can you see that? Can you see that? 20 working days. So that's also a strategy. I, please, you see this thing we are discussing. It's not just, they are not buzzwords. They are something that you should go to your organization and begin to think of how to go about it. And after this class, you feel like you need that. This is what this class is for. It's not just for to come and go. That's why it's mentoring. If you know that, okay, I want to implement my organization, how do I go about it? What do I do? Please chat me up. That is the access we're talking about. You have free mentoring access. Okay. Set clear and measurable goals. Use KPI and employee understands. When we do our performance tomorrow, we'll discuss more on this. Ensure fairness. Reward must be based on actual performance, not favoritism. And some organizations, when you want to enter, if you are from Igala, you receive let's say you're from Urobo. They'll say, Urobo, that one is even, let us pay that 120 for the same role. And you see that the organization is creating problem. So they should, regardless of where one is from, pay should be based on set criteria by the organization. Communicate criteria on front to employee. Employee should know what he should earn, what he should expect. Those days when we're receiving service charge, we know so I knew my service. I do get the point I was I think 23. So once our service charge comes out, and they say 1 point is to 7, I just go to 700. I go and do 700 times 23 points. I know how much I'm expecting. It's fixed. If and the other month they say 1 point is to 3,000 because you made more profit, I already know how much I'm expecting. It doesn't. The only thing that changes is the profit that change, but not my point. And so it helps you to plan as well. Make reward timely. Recognition close to the achievement strengthens motivation. Someone does something, then you're waiting for in the next 6 months or 1 year to reward the person or end of the year. Okay, I saw in the WhatsApp group and someone said, what are you going to do for when people are coming late that they want to deduct for immediate action? Then I asked them, what are you doing for those coming early? Say they reward them end of the year. So you're rewarding those that are coming late early, end of the year, but you want to punish those who are coming late immediately. Can you see that doesn't add up? Review and readjust regularly. Ensure incentive remain relevant and competitive. Remain relevant and competitive. Those days, the banks, were boasting that they were paying well until fintech came. Who agree with me? When fintech came to the picture, many of them left. Many of them left to fintechs. Some banks began to readjust. Some banks began to readjust. What is salary benchmarking? What is salary benchmarking? It's the process of comparing what your organization pay to the industry and the market you are in consideration to the similar roles. So I mentioned earlier in this class that someone, when I was in the manufacturing, someone came to me and said that banks had increased salaries. And I said, look, while we know that generally the economy needs to increase, but we can't be comparing ourselves to banks. So compare us with Nestle, compare us with UAC, compare us to Seaway, who are also in the manufacturing. You're going to compare what a HR in manufacturing, in food manufacturing, for instance, is receiving. You see, food manufacturing, not maybe that's not maybe car or parts, oil and gas. You see, you want to compare a HR officer in the downstream sector with a HR officer in the upstream sector, you'll be making a mistake. You must compare up. So if I'm working in Amasco, I'll be comparing myself with those working in Rain Oil, or working in AA Rano, or working in which other oil again do I know? That's in the downstream sector. I can't go and compare myself with those working in Chevron, but Chevron should be comparing themselves with those working in Total, working in Seplant, because they are within the same upstream sector. So it ensures competitiveness when you do that. How do you get data? Salary survey conducted by HR consulting firms or industry, like we always see KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, EY, they all do this regularly and roll out salaries. Industry reports, we see also industries bring out reports. Okay, recruitment platform like Jobberman, LinkedIn side. When you go there, you see people are posting their salaries, what the last amount they receive from a particular organization. Professional bodies, Chamber of Commerce, like accountants might publish salaries for accountants. HR bodies will publish for HR. Engineers will working on informal sources peer to peer. So you cannot ask me, Alpha, what do your company inside? My company is HR consulting. We pay entry level 200,000 naira. Oh, it's okay. So if you're entry level, okay, that gives you a clue. It's okay. How much they pay someone who have stayed 4 years? Oh, we pay 400,000 or thereabout. You see, so you're getting how much you pay your GM? Oh, GM 2 million naira. That's an informal conversation, but it forms opinion as well. Remember, I want us to finish in 8:30, and we are there already. How do you conduct salary survey? How do you conduct salary surveys? How do you conduct salary surveys? Achieve? What do you want to get out of this salary survey you wish to do? Identify comparable roles. Remember, I said that. Identify comparable roles up to comparable industry. So it's account to account officer to account officer. We need to so here to so here in this particular industry. Business development to business development. You can't compare business development to engineers. No. Select data sources. How am I going to use? Am I going to use survey? Am I going to use focus group? Am I going to use the internet? Mostly primary sources are more reliable. First-hand respondents. Okay. Collect data and analyze them. So collect your data, look at various percentage. Now, when you are doing those data, it's also important to put age into perspective, because age now plays a vital role. Why do I say that? the requests of Gen Zs are different now, and Gen Zs form up to 60% of our workplace today. So you need to get that perspective. What age range is saying this? So maybe because those that are in their 60s are saying they should pay them 30,000, and you want to go and use that to to benchmark, you'll be shooting yourself at the foot. Adjust for company adjust for company factors. For example, where is your company location, your company size. Try to get all these factors. So when they tell you that, oh, we pay 1 million naira, and this company, how many are they? They are 3,000. You, how many are you? You are seven, and you want to pay 1 million. Or they tell you that every staff in our organization has a phone. How many are they? There are eight of them. So even they buy a phone of 200,000, that's about 1.9 million naira. They can do that. But you are about 3,000 staff. You start complaining that they're not. They should buy all staff a phone. They will look at this HR. He doesn't know what he or she is doing. Okay, so you have to look at peculiarities, document and review. Remember, we said this: anything you are doing in HR, you must document. If you don't document, it did not happen. Using data for decision making. This is one of the most interesting places. Dear HR, ensure that your data, your decision making, your suggestions, your advice is based on data, is data driven. Don't make and careless and baseless statements. Oh, increase salary because things are hard. How do we know things are hard? Because things in the market are hard. The government have said that inflation is 31%. Translate that into the language of the business. Translate that. So therefore, if that's the case, how will I hire? Who should I hire? Should I start hiring interns that will grow? Just this evening, I left the phone with a client I'm consulting for. They want to hire for BDM, they want to hire for marketing manager, and they have a brand, a business analyst. Say, you don't need that. You don't need all those. You just be increasing your overhead cost. Your business analyst has been doing the work of business manager. You are having a company of 10 staff, and you want to make your overhead cost to be about 5 million naira. How? You're not even generating revenue. So speak to data, dear HR. Anything you are doing, speak to data. Well, at this junction, I would love to round up by saying a well-designed compensation and benefit strategy is not just cost, it's an investment in people, productivity, and the future of the organization. Thank you, and I'll take your questions. Thank you. Over to you, class governor or deputy, any of them who is online at the moment. Moderate this
Sir,
session.
thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank you very much for the class. I don't even know. So I know I'm new in this HR. Not really new like that, but like I said while I was introducing myself, I do have a very solid foundation. So, and the organization where I work, we outsourced our HR, everything HR. So now is an opportunity for me to step in. So where do I start from? Considering the fact that I'm not very grounded in the HR field, maybe theoretically, yes, to an extent, but where do I start from? Because we don't have HR in the organization. So where do I start from? I want to introduce HR. I want to start. So please, where can I start from? Thank you, sir.
I didn't get anything you said. I couldn't get anything you say. I don't know
Yes,
if
I was
someone
just
did,
breaking. Okay,
but I couldn't get anything you say.
okay, what about
Your
now? Is it
network
better
was,
now?
I don't know whether it's mine, but I couldn't get anything you say.
Okay, what about now, sir? Is it clear? Can I ask the question again?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm saying that in my organization, we don't have HR. Like we outsource the major HR services. So now I want to step into that shoe. I want to introduce HR into the organization. Where do I start from? What's the first thing I should do? Or do you think I should reach out to you personally? So where do I start from? Hello everyone. Oga HR has left the call. I don't know if he's still coming back. And he said my network is really bad. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, I think the network is quite bad.
Okay, please, did he say anything before leaving? Because I couldn't hear anything. Oh, okay. Then maybe it's from his own end. Maybe somebody in the class can help me. Well, what I was trying to say was that in an organization where there's no HR at all, where do I start from? What should I do? I know, okay, I have to get everybody's database. Okay, from there, what else? Please, somebody should help me. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me now? You can drop the question in the chat room, whether in the WhatsApp chat or in the you can drop the WhatsApp chat so that we can just answer and call it a day. But if we're not getting it, then we might just have to continue from the chat room. You can drop it there, then we'll respond and continue the chat on WhatsApp. Tomorrow, our class starts at exactly 7 p.m. Please don't miss tomorrow's class. Don't miss you. So this will give you an insight and a glimpse to that. All right, having said that, we'll have no choice but to call it a day. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your rapt attention. Thank you all for coming from Ayo to Jennifer, Debola to Toluwalache, Judith, Dorcas, and every other person whom possibly network or if you miss at any point in time, you can use the link for, watch from the Google from the YouTube page. Thank you, administrators of Japan. Thank you, my partners and my boss, of course, Como Consults. Bye.